Hey, welcome to anybody tuning in or watching this later. This is just, people are always asking, and it's a good question. With all the bajillion dynamic EQs out there, or all the EQs out there, why bother with this EQ? I'm gonna give you a couple of reasons, but if you don't need these things, we're not gonna tell you to buy something you don't need. So I'm just gonna show you what we do here with our dynamic EQ. So right off the bat, even if you're not a customer or whatever, I'm going to be using this from our tutorial page as a raw, the raw audio. It's a multi-track drum recording, and there's a video that goes along with it, so you can actually see what he's playing at the time. And this is like I say, it's available on our aiXdsp's.com. Go to resources, go to tutorials. And it's just this aiXdsp's tutorial file one. Says this is a video and set of multi-tracks so you can see the drums being hit and easily follow along with any tutorials or presets. If you're using Reaper, you can just open the included project files. Other DAWs can easily drag and drop in the media. So it's right there. You can grab this file. It's pretty handy. I use it for a lot of testing. And in this case, let's just... So you see, they got this video. Really, the video is handy for when you're learning gates and things like that, because you can see exactly when things were supposed to happen. So, first of all, I'm gonna go to this little tester here. So using this EQ curve analyzer. It's like a phase checker and some other stuff. So. Can look at the response down here in this curve analyzer. Yeah, I'm going to go a little bit smaller here. Okay. So, first of all, with nothing happening, there's no phase issue, right? So let me turn this on. The steeper, the more you push it, the more the phase gets goofy. You're looking at like 45, 43 degrees here. Let's steepen it. The actual cue doesn't seem to have too much effect on it. So this seems to... Some of these you're going to see a different way. Maybe it'll be less phasiness. We're going to have some more options later on as well. So let's see... Right now, if I put this on an oscilloscope, you will see the phase moving around a little bit. It's not too bad. 30 degrees. I know any phase can be extremely problematic for some people, but or depending on what you're doing, it can just be extremely problematic. Period. But in this case, I don't think it's too bad. I want to show you something else. Take a look at this curve as I move it. Watch the curve analyzer. In fact, let's just let me put it on a re-EQ. And a lot of them are going to be like this. So when I move this, actually, let me turn off dynamic EQ. Sorry. When I move this over towards the edge, see what's happening? Is a little EQ cramping going on. Let's look at the different bands. And Alt-2. Not sure where the deprecated, I thought we had a deprecated one. Anyhow. So you take a look at dynamic EQ, sorry, and notice that this is a completely decramped EQ, right? It may not be as big a deal anymore, and some people actually like the cramped EQ. We may actually have a switch to bring that back for certain things, but in general, I think you're going to have a smoother experience with the decramped EQ. So that's that part of it. Go back to 0 here. Now this will do exactly what you expect with the dynamic EQ. Let's just go through some of the stuff here. I'm gonna put it on the snare drum. Let's just loop a little section here. Your standard EQ functions. Here's your high pass filter. Doing what it should do. Different steepnesses, and this again, you're going to see the phase change a lot depending on how this goes. Let's look at that real quick. Sorry, I'm gonna go back to this this file here. Look at this curve analyzer again. And here's the high pass filter. Move the frequency where you can see it. So as it gets steeper and steeper, the phase starts getting pretty extreme, right? It's not completely flipped yet, but you know, as long as there's no constructive interference going on, as long as it's destructive, I think it's just even more isolation. But, you know, it'd be nice not to have that, but we live in the real world, and linear phase filters can have their own sets of problems, but it's coming. We're gonna add some different types here, but I'm gonna steepen this filter up. Here's your two pole, sorry. Now, we're getting near that 180 degree mark, right? This is completely out of phase when pretty far down though. But I mean, when you're within the octaves that you're messing with, you can still get pretty far out. And so let's go to 24, and you'll notice this is far more immediate, but it's not as much worse as you could think. Then again, sometimes these curves may fool you the way they look a little bit. So let's see, is there a way to do a linear versus log? I'm not sure on this one. Perhaps not. Oh, yeah, right here. Okay, so let's look at it in linear. Give you kind of a better idea of what's going on here, maybe. Here's 12. And here's 6. Okay, I'm going to bypass this again. Get rid of this window again. Hopefully I don't have to come back to this again. So let's show you. So there's your low pass. Your high pass, or sorry, that was your high pass. Here's your low pass. This thing is backwards. Why are you backwards? Just make a note of that real quick. Sorry. It's been pumping out versions lately. So yeah, this version came out on April 28th. Make sure it's the right one. 2.0.1.3. Okay. So yeah, it looks like the high pass and low pass are reversed, right? This is the high pass. Wait a second. Yeah, this is the low pass, and this is the high pass. So these things are backwards. We'll fix that. Don't worry about that. So there's your regular regular high and low pass filters. But again, it's just an EQ, right? It's not really... That's what you expect from an EQ. You get your gain, frequency, and Q controls. And if you want, you can make it a low shelf, or you can make it a high shelf. And again, you get your switch, your filter steepness. But what's probably going to matter to you more is the dynamic functions. Let's go over some of that. So first of all, you got your choice between a compressor, downward expander, or an upward expander. So let's just make one big fat band real quick. Do this in a way that you would never use this thing. I'm gonna turn. Just gonna have band 6 on. Oops, this. Gotta change that actually. Band 5 I'm gonna turn off. So band 6 I'm gonna turn on. And I'm gonna make this a low shelf. No gain. So you can see what it would be affecting if it was on. So it's just gonna be very, very, very basic. See that? Alrighty, Dave's saying he'll have an update to fix that label mix-up. That's all right. No big deal. So let's just look at the compressor. This is going to do what you expect it to do. If it's on. Alright. For a lot of these dynamic multiband dynamic devices, they don't have a full featured set of controls. I keep seeing this where they have like maybe a limiter or whatever. In fact, some of our own stuff has something like that. But in this case, you have your attack. You have your regular attack control. You have your regular release control. You got a hold control, which you know, back in the day I used to always ask for, hey, can we have a hold control in this compressor? And they say, what are you doing? That's for MIDI. You wouldn't use that in audio, you know. This is yet another I told you so, and I love pointing these out. I know how much you guys hate when I point out the I told you so's, but this wasn't I told you so. I like having a hold control. There's a lot you can do with it. So if you see, if you're using anything but 0 on the hold control, that's going to be a time after the attack curve starts and whatever, before the release curve takes over. So if you really, really, really have something that you have to keep open or keep closed for a long time, there you go. That hold control is going to help you. You also have an RMS window size, so I mean, if you really want, and we really could do if you really, really wanted here, just clip it. But in this case, I'm clipping everything but the very highest frequencies, which can keep from making that weird spitty sound, right? That's been a trick with clippers lately, is people kind of not putting the clipper on the very highest frequencies, or even actually down pretty low. And that's kind of where we're most sensitive to distortion, or, you know, part of that anyway. So that's a handy way to use a clipper, is just, you know, put it on peak, put everything to 0, and take the filter out of the places where you're going to hear it the nastiest. If you don't want to hear it, if you just want to clip it, or you could do it the other way with the high shelf or whatever. But let's look a little further here. you have a downward expander and an upward expander. A lot of times you only have one of these, if you have this at all. And usually when you do have these, you don't have a full set of controls. So let's look at the upward expander first. And guys, be careful with this, with your volume when you're doing some of this stuff, right? So I used to call these bonkers, right? You would take this and you'd use it to bonk something higher when the certain threshold is exceeded. Sometimes you use this to do kind of more attack on a distorted electric guitar. And again, this has the full complement of controls here: your attack control, your hold control. And your release control, just like the full set of controls you'd expect from a compressor, from a dynamic device. Now here is where we're really going to go. Let's change this to peaking mode real quick. Now, when I was first working on, so like Dave's pointing out, there's a expander max gain here to keep you from totally exploding your whole setup when you're messing around with expanders. And one is a plus 24 max, and that will take your head off if you're not careful. I'm going to be a little bit paranoid no matter what with the volume knobs, especially when I'm streaming here. But let me turn this off, and you're going to see why I'm being paranoid here. And see, they put it in red, right? Look at this thing. It's in red and it says warning. So you've been warned, all right? Come on. So let me do infinity to 1 and just bring this down. I'm going to do a low shelf here. Now this should be blasting out of the universe, but it's not. So not sure if that setting is gone weird. This used to explode and just kind of destroy everything. Might have gotten broken. Deal with this later. Anyway, when this thing comes back, it's on +6 by default to keep this from breaking, because it's a potentially kind of a dangerous situation. Looks like we just found a bug on the air, but that's okay. We'll deal with that. Okay. Note that we got a limiter here. You probably might have seen the video where I use this limiter as a guitar distortion box. Actually worked pretty good. This is a soft mode, hard mode, or off. So if you're really worried, keep that limiter on. Or use it for your creative effects. You know, if you want to just pull on clipper, just put it on hard mode and just crank into it. Let's show you the downward expander now. The downward expanders can act more like a noise gate. And this is the one that a lot of them don't seem to have when this is expander time. So let me get this so that it triggers. Okay, so now you're acting like a gate, right? Good. So let me bring your attention here to the keyless in here. So you have a choice for the detector source. It's going to be either the band that you're on, so however you have this EQ set, the input, which would be the entire input spectrum, or a sidechain, which you could bring in externally. I could have like a kick drum telling the snare drum to shut up whenever the kick drum's hitting or whatever, you know, doing something like that. But in this case, look at input and look at the key listen. And let's just say that what I really want this thing to act on is whatever tells me the most about how hard is the snare being hit. And that is going to tell it when to open, how long to stay open, and how much to open. So I'll loop a little section again. I'm going to take a look at what the snare looks like. Here's the resonant frequency here, your big peaks in the snare. Seems to be two of them. One at about 150 hertz maybe. And one is like 240. Kind of typical snare stuff, right? So I'm going to take this look ahead as if you want it to open earlier. Of course, it's going to cause latency. But that's up to you. But it can make your attack mode much more effective for doing certain crazy stuff. We're going to move the high pass filter for the detector up here. And not getting what I expect in this key. Listen, we got a bunch of broken stuff right now. This may not be the best time to. You can hear this. Oh shoot! I'm messing with the wrong thing. Sorry. There we go. Sorry. Woo! Like, oh man, here's some more bugs. But so I'm just gonna focus in on this little chunk. Let me show you, like if I had the side chain on, so we shouldn't be able to hear because the side chain is in. Make a 4-way. Right. So here's what the side chain should be. It should be nothing. That's because 3 and 4 are the side chain inputs right here by default in Reaper. Of course, I'd have to have 4 track channels. If I chose band, you see that this detector is jumping right to the how we have this band set, right? But I'm going to do input because I just want to get this part. Now the kick might be opening this a little bit too much, but it's probably okay. Could maybe use some steeper filters. Okay, so let's go back, get out of key listen mode. What I'm going to do here, I'm going to set this to high shelf, and I want the frequency. What I'm going to leave ungated is the low end of the snare sound. This is very much like multiband gate. When I was going to make multiband gate the first time, long ago, oops, we just go with our plugin. One of the things was, do we want one signal controlling the entire thing, or do we want each band to have its own threshold? And we could add offsets or something like that to multiband gate, and we may. But this is the other way of doing things, where each band has its own threshold going on, and you could set each band completely independently. I don't really, for the most part with multiband gate, that doesn't seem to be how we would normally use it, so that's why it has the mode it has right now. What in the world just happened? I don't know. Wow. That was a bizarre. That's some kind of new Reaper function that I don't know. Sorry. Let me see where my effects window's gone to. Okay. Here's you guys again. So in this case, we're going to have different thresholds for each thing, but I'm just going to use it really on the high end here. And I'm going to just, the classic problem of those cymbals in the snare, just going to use it up there in downward expansion mode, and that's what I'm going to get rid of. So if this thing was all the way off, here's what you're getting. Getting a bunch of cymbals and stuff. And if it was all the way closed, We're just hearing the kick and the snare, right? And I could actually put another band on to get rid of that kick. So there's two things you want to think about with this frequency. What frequencies do you want to hear longer? Like the low end of the snare that's not going to make any trouble, versus the high end where you only need it for the split second, and then you can get rid of that so you get the hi-hat and the cymbals out of there. You could move this frequency around. You could make more bands than this. I'm just going to make this real simple, though. See, and if I have it up here, then there's going to be too much cymbals still coming through. And we could make this a lot steeper, but again, you know, we're going to maybe have some phase issues. Seems pretty good here, 2500-ish hertz. And so let's start going. So, and remember, what we're listening to for the detector was... Why did I lose my detector and filter lines? Well, that's unfortunate. Either I'm screwing up or we got some visual bugs got to deal with, but let me pop this back up. Hopefully it comes back. Yeah, there we go. There we go, another. All right. So really, I just want this low frequency stuff opening it up. It could be the kick, but I'm not so worried about that right now. But yeah, it looks like we need to, it's another visual bug we got to deal with. All right, so let me get it out of the key listen mode. And so just going to tune it so that the cymbals go away when this thing gets... A little too twitchy down here. Hold it open for just a little bit. And so now, if I really wanted, I could put another band here. And so now I can, not that you're going to do it this way, but let's just be extreme here. I'm boosting the hell out of this high end. Watch what happens when I turn this gate off. I just made this big, spitty, gross cymbal booster, right? But with this downward expander on. So let's put this in context. Now I can have the cymbals where I want them. Really mostly coming from the overheads. Turn off the hi-hat stuff. Come on. So even with this going crazy spitty, where it just makes really nasty hi-hats and cymbals and stuff, It's not really a problem. Right? So that would be a different way than you're using with multi-band gate. You could have more bands here and put different thresholds on everything. But again, I think multi-band gate usually works a little bit better than this for the most part. But there's all kinds of stuff like noisy guitar amps, for instance. Do I have something handy? If I had a noisy guitar amp going through here, what is it, Horizon? Is it the thing? Horizon gate? It's some kind of distortion thing, has its own gate on it. And it seems to be where it really just turns off the high end. And that's where most of that fizz and all fuzz and all that junk is on the guitar. The objectionable part of the guitar noise, for the most part, usually is anyways. And you could do the same thing with that guitar amp. And, you know, like I say, it's also got this limiter. You got a lot of features here. It's your MS modes. You can encode the input or the output or both or neither. There's FU Glenn mode. You know, there's an old Glenn Fricker video where he's showing how to make a gate by using a compressor, and all our Dynamics plugins have this thing. So that's why we want to use DynamicEQ. I'm going to fix a couple bugs that got exposed on this one. So anyway,